Well. It is a nice and early hump day morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. And as always, want to be wishing you well, want to be wishing you the best, the happiest of the happiest. Nice little sunny day outside as well. So hope that you're having the best one possible. And of course, we got plenty to talk about with Bitcoin right now because we have hacks, we got SAFUs, we got UNSAFUs, we got Justin Sun coming to the fucking savior of this market. And what is going on? Well, basically, Binance got hacked the other night. And apparently about $40 million worth of money missing, worth of Bitcoin, actually, I should state. And CZ had the very enlightening response to suggest that perhaps he could roll back the network after talking with his advisors and his friends and all that good stuff. He said that was not the best route to go. I completely agree with that, but the damage kind of already been done. When you state something like that, saying that we're going to potentially look at doing a rollback, which if you're not familiar with what that is, it basically means rolling the network back to a prior date before the hack happened, just quite literally, erasing everything that's happened since then, which would, obviously get their $40 million back. But at the end of the day, destroy the confidence in this market, as that is one of Bitcoin's major selling points. I mean, that's probably the biggest major selling point. When I explain Bitcoin to people, the way that I explain it is it is an immutable public ledger. Immutable. If you roll back the network, it's no longer fucking immutable now, isn't it? And that's the whole, that's one of the big points with Bitcoin is that, we have 10 years of history without having to do some, super crazy. Well, of course, maybe there's some crazier stuff in the earlier days. I'm not really referencing that. But right now, with the market in the way that it is and that sort of information coming out, I do want to mention that. But without further ado, let's get into the live stream right now as we need to get deep and down and dirty into this Magic Net money business. And Bitcoin actually holding itself up rather well throughout this quote-unquote news. And of course, lower timeframes, we were looking at this during last night during the live stream saying that, hey, Bitcoin likely to, the second that Bitcoin broke 5,800 once again, because we witnessed the wick down yesterday, got bought back on up. So if you got that scalp, congratulations, nicely done. Obviously I can't show that one on live stream, there's legality type shit, but now that I'm recording, I can show trades right now. And of course, for full disclosure, I actually did take a short based off the 5,800 retest. I'll be closing that pretty damn soon though, because Bitcoin to me looks like it wants to pop back up over here. In fact, Bitcoin looking like on the 4 hour, we've actually caught beautiful wind of the 21 exponential moving average. So I just want to go back to the higher time frames, back to the daily, and state that, hey, as long as Bitcoin has a setup like this on the exponentials and simples, I'm not really bearish on it. And especially as long as we're above all major moving averages, that is a, that is a lovely setup. So as long as we're essentially riding this 10 simple, I am cool with that from a higher time frame perspective. Of course, on the lower time frames, though, there are trades here and there. We did get the trade. Sorry, I forgot to mention this as well. We got the trade yesterday getting on this drop down to 5,700, pops back up, good little scalp right over there. Then the second time that we approached 5,800, that was my trigger for taking that short. And obviously I was sleeping, but I'll be closing this pretty damn soon. If you did take that one, 5,650, nice little stab down there. I think my target was officially like 5,600. Again, doesn't need to be perfect, and I don't want to be known for giving out very specific precise targets, because I don't think that that's too helpful. It's better to just give a general outlook, just because a lot of time I'm speaking fast and I don't really want to get super down and dirty into it. But overall, it's I want to back away from being a signals type person, just sharing my experience of what I'm doing, because I think that that's a lot more, I think that that's probably a lot more helpful in the long run. Anyways, so yeah, if we do stay here for a second on the lower time frames, being bought up pretty damn well. 21 exponential on the 4 hour dollar time frame defended extremely well as well, and I don't really see any downside as long as we are riding this 5750-ish support. Sorry, scratch that. It's 5730-ish area. Now, from a higher time frame perspective, and kind of interrelating these two, I do want to bring up something that I actually pretty much never talk about, but I'm going to put on the 9 exponential moving average, which, if you're familiar with traditional markets, this is kind of this is the lowest period that I typically use. I mean, yes, at some points I actually did use a 5 period, but on the daily I'd use the 9 to kind of judge, what our where we are within the general. What is the micro trend look like in the context of the general trend? So the general trend being gone by these higher periods, the 21, the 55, the 200, and then the very low one, which I'm actually looking at as the yellow one right now, swapped in for the 9. That would give insight into where we are currently trending. And right now you can see that we actually just had a slight tap back down down to it, supported right off it, and, you know, up and onwards. So to me, this is actually a good buyback and just a scare in the overnight session. I wouldn't really be getting too damn bearish until we actually break through that, and that's all the way down at 5,600. So anywhere between about 5,730 to 5,600, that's where the story starts to get changed a little bit. But understand that, you know, there's different time frames, right? So the 4-hour 5,730 is the big critical point. From the daily perspective, 56, we'll call it about $100 down, about 5,620 is that next critical point. So I'm going to put back on the 21, and I really wanted to get that out there just because that is one of the more traditional things which I very actually rarely talk about. But overall, you know, usually the 10 simple actually accounts for that, although this one is lagging significantly behind right now because Bitcoin's had such a momentous move. Anyways, looking at our daily Stokes, we still got Stokes headed up to the sky, very erect, very powerful. We do see daily RSI, you know, just it looks to me like we've caught wind of the exponential right over here and we're rallying off it. So again, I actually am not really bearish off this event, and while we did have a nice down move, you know, targets were met and targets were bought up immediately. Again, my target being a little bit off, to be fair. You know, I was saying 5,600, like I said, we got down to 5642 on BitMexco. So close enough is close enough. But to me, it looks like the next move is going to be likely back up to test 5850 to 50. I mean, almost 5,900, just back into this range, and then we'll kind of figure out if this is real or not. But I do want to remind myself that all of the higher time frames are still, you know, completely fine. Going over here to the weekly still looking like continuation. I mean, the weekly has to do a lot of damage back down to about 5,350 to 5,400 to actually really start to look like, you know, we're doing something different. For now, it just looks like continuation, having a good exponential moving average cross right over here, the yellow 21 and the red 10 simple to the upside, and seeing these two moving averages converge on each other, the 50 and the 89, after getting bearishly crossed. So if they're converging on each other, then that tells you that the trend is weakening, right? So overall, I want to get that out. Now, of course, here's the big thing, and here's going to be the next biggest piece of the puzzle, and this is the 2-day digital time frame right over here. You see this white moving average? That is the 200 simple moving average on the 2-day digital time frame, and if we can actually close above it today, if we can close above it, which is currently about it's a hair under 5,800, but I'm gonna say 5,800. If we can close above it, then I'm not gonna be bearish. I'd be looking for perhaps a retest of this area, but I'd be looking for continuation overall. And this is a pretty big deal to me because if we do go back to 2014, 2015, you can see the validity of this actually, this 200 simple, where we actually broke it, and that was the beginning of your bullish momentum in October 2015, before going from about $280 price per Bitcoin to $20,000 price per Bitcoin. So again, you know, looking at all these sorts of things, I do want to be cognizant of this fact because the higher time frames do take precedence. And while everyone's getting very concerned about the news and being misled by that kind of shit, and looking at the lower time frames, I do believe that this is, personally speaking, I think that we're likely to close above 5,800 and clear this and take out this moving average. We probably do rally off that into the next level, and I would say the next level is going to be somewhere between about 62 to 6,400 near this next high value node. Actually, technically around 63 to 64 if you want to get super granular with it. But overall, my point is that we are kind of in no man's land right now. And when we're in no man's land, moves happen and moves get very, very violent, right? As there's just not too much to be going off of like past prior history. So we're just kind of figuring out where the liquidity does lie. And of course, assets like to float towards areas of higher liquidity. And the closest area of higher liquidity that has not been tested just yet is this guy right over here. Again, you know, we spent a lot of time down at the 3,000 level building this area up. Then we spent some time at the low 5,000s building this area up. Well, I'm going to imagine that if we do confirm above the 200 simple at 5,800 later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time, we will be getting another tick on this one. Then, you know, over the next week or so, I'd be looking for a move up here, actually. Bringing up our 2-day oscillators, we do see 2-day Stokes actually still cross the upside, defending right at the edge of the bullish control zone. I like this. That's a good setup. That's a bullish setup as we approach a major resistance. More importantly, on top of that, we do see 2-day RSI, similar to daily, but actually a little bit more precise, to be fair. Popping back down, testing the exponential, and rallying off it. I mean, that's a good setup. Now, here's the thing. It is going to be quite easy to create some bearish divergence on the 2-day RSI. But a lot of damage can be done on price action before that actually happens. It's gonna take a while. But because this first drive got so high, we're likely to set in a higher high on price action, but a lower high on the RSI, somewhere in the next like couple weeks, I'd imagine. And that's when I'd actually look for like a legitimate pullback. And when I say legitimate pullback, I mean like a big momentous move. We really haven't had a major pullback this whole run up. I mean, it's just been higher highs and higher lows the whole way through on all time frames below a monthly, which, it's hard to be bearish off that. Going over here to the 3-day, we do see 3-day Stokes still headed up, getting a little bit weaker though. Let me take off the volume profile, just getting annoying. 3-day not really telling us anything unique though. We do see 3-day RSI, kind of people are calling this a triple top right here. It's too early to call. We need to confirm a local high before anything, and this is continuation first and foremost until we actually confirm this as a local high, which would imply we have to reverse a little bit. Well, that hasn't really happened. So again, I think that people are really jumping the gun here, and more importantly, the 3-day jewel is flattening out. The light blue is flattening on this, around this critical area as the pink starts to catch up to it, which I'd imagine that the pink is going to likely provide support for it. And I'm looking for a similar setup to what we had back on over here, where we had a similar setup where we had red in the background, we had the light blue oscillator just getting very slightly into the critical zone, similar to what you see right over here, and then getting negative slope, and then coming back down to the pink, and then again marched up. Now we did have a good sell signal on this one, to be fair, even though it wasn't like the other ones. This one about 10 11%. Same thing with this guy right over here, about 10 to 11 or about 12%. But these other signals are significantly more. I mean, when I'm looking at this guy, this is a 30% signal. This one right over here, about a 35% signal. This guy right over here, another 30% signal. This guy, whoops, that's not one. This guy right over here, a 20,000 high, about a 66% signal. You can see that this one certainly a one-off, and similar to how we have right over here, the light blue just getting very shallow into that area, which we really haven't. That's the only other time that we really have to measure up against it. Again, comparing this with this right over here. Well, you do see that soon after this, it did get picked up and marched on and higher. And that's kind of what I'm waiting for. When the light blue gets back into this area, that's going to be looking for a very nasty pullback, as I do believe that we probably will have one of those very disgusting, very, very scary, like 30 to 40% pullbacks at some point in time. But the question is when does that initiate? And I don't think that initiates from here. I think that Bitcoin actually makes its way higher before initiating something like that. And just to put in perspective, if we did get to maybe that 6,400-ish target before initiating a 30% sell-off, I mean, that would bring us back down to actually base down around here, which if we bring up the weekly, and let me just redo this for a weekly, again, from about 6,400, about 30, whatever it is, 35% down, that would put us right on the 200 exponential on the weekly, which we spent about 5 months grinding before we could break it out to the upside. So that should be strong support if Bitcoin does head back down. Anyways, this is very speculative, very, 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 very far out, and I want to separate exactly what I'm talking about from the low time frames, from the medium time frames, from the high and the macro time frames. In the low time frames, that it's not even on the tip of my tongue right now. It's all the higher time frames, and Bitcoin taking its leg up here. I think we're going to hit that 5850 target spoken about earlier on this video relatively soon, and I do think that we actually reach a little bit higher actually. To me, this dump just kind of reset a little bit of the oscillators coming down a little bit, but getting bought back up above the 21, that's that's the defense. Looking at what about our RSI on the 4-hour? Yeah, I was going to say that maybe we have some hidden bullish divergence. We do not actually. We do not. So nothing to really say there, but let's maybe go over to the 8-hour. 8-hour being bought back up as well. Look at the 8-hour Stokes. They're just slinking down as price action kind of just trudges its way up. I mean, that's just allowing the oscillator to reset once again and catching the 21 exponential just perfectly, and then being bought right back on up. So this is my point of looking at the higher time frames and relating them to the lower time frames and not getting stuck in this fucking twilight zone of lower time frames where everything looks like it's pumping or dumping to all goddamn hell or heaven. So again, I always want to get that out there. Look at the 12-hour for a second. 12-hour Stokes actually down. These ones have been pretty damn good at getting moves. And to be fair, this kind of is confirmed as a local high, which would imply that we do have bearish divergence here on the 12-hour. But I really want to see where this next 12-hour dildo closes. If this next 12-hour dildo closes below about 57.30, I'd say that yes, we do initiate a run further, deep, lower, basically deeper lower. Is what I'm trying to say. Deeper. Wow. Deeper or lower, but maybe not both. Jesus fucking Christ, man. It's always lower than you think. And if you know what I'm talking about, well, then you know. Anyways, my point is hey, until from a lower time frame perspective, 57.30 is the critical support that is, and that will be, if we do break that to the downside, I'm looking for a move ultimately further south, maybe like 5,400 to 5,350. But by the same token, as long as we hold above it, I do give the nod to the bulls here. And first and foremost, I do think that this gets continuation, actually. Call me crazy, but even with all this news coming out, this looks fine to me, actually. As long as we hold up above 57.30 on lower time frames, 4-hour and daily just needs to hold about 56.40, 56.50. That looks fine. And again, we went over the higher time frame. Let's go check out CMEs. CME is looking very similar, actually. CME Stokes headed back up, going north, and we will come into a little bit of resistance. Whoops, I guess I already have it in there. Does it, does this form of support turn into resistance? I don't know if I'd call it that, but it would be a sign of strength if we actually do hold it above there. That's more important. Looking at the daily RSI, do we have anything to be aware of here? Have we confirmed a local high? Not just yet, or have we? Not until we actually come back. I'd say that we confirm a local high if we come back down and lose about 57.20. So again, very similar area on CMEs. I like the confluence between these two. CMEs, I would say, do not look as bullish as spot, funnily enough. But I'd still be using that pivot to kind of judge trades on, because ultimately, it's going to take a little bit more work to destroy this than what that time frame was kind of purporting. Anyways, looking at the weekly, we do see the 50 exponential moving average kind of providing resistance, but the longer that Bitcoin kind of holds it right around here, the more and more likely that it becomes to break. And looking at this is the retest of our 2018 lows. As you can see, we did get a little bit above, but overall finding a little bit of selling pressure right around there, which you would expect, for the first time retesting it after a very long time of being away. We're talking like 6 months of being away from this form of support, and we spent about a year just kind of grinding that support to begin with. I'd suggest that likely on first pass we probably will sell down, which we have. But I want to be very careful with what I say here, because I don't want to, I want to make it very clear on the areas where I become bearish and the areas where I'm just generally bullish. And right now, we're still living well above the areas that would make me bearish. From a CME perspective, if we do lose like the 57.30-ish area, maybe even call it 57.50, I'd be looking for a move back down here to about 54.50. About 54.50 before a legitimate bounce. So again, that's kind of what I'm looking at. But we've been lucky to catch a lot of moves actually recently, and we caught the move yesterday on live stream coming down to 5700. Beautiful, pops back up. That was your scalp right there. Don't what's it called? Stay and pray, or whatever the fuck the saying is. Don't just pray it out. After that, this thing came back down, and really what's going on now is we could actually make the argument for this being, a rising channel. Or let me actually get a new chart so we can do this fresh. There we go. Get everything off there. It's just a disgusting GDAX chart, so no one really cares about it. But something like this. You could say that we got something like this going on, or perhaps something like this if you want to get super. Yeah, a little bit of a rising channel. Do you want to call it a rising wedge? I don't care what you call it. Volume signature on it would be acceptable. But the area of action is the same. And I just wanted to show this is a good confluences with this area. If we do break 57.30, 57.40-ish, then yeah, I'm looking for a move back down to about 54.50, 5400. Probably bounces there. And then, do we come down to 53.50? Perhaps. I mean, it's all the same thing, but I'd take it one step at a time, and I'd be looking for the next move down here to about 54.50-ish area. What else did I want to show here? I felt like there's something else that I'm missing. Maybe go back to a 4 hour. Let's see. Oh yeah, we could do a measure move on this. If it did break to the downside, which again, this is not confirmed until we actually take out, this area right here, 5740-ish area. But this is kind of where I'm getting 5400 target, right around here. And I'll actually put in a nice horizontal right here just to kind of keep myself honest, and we can back test this if and when it does happen. But like I said, I'm actually not leaning towards this scenario happening. I'm leaning towards a more bullish scenario happening. But again, I do not trade my opinion. I trade technical analysis. And if we do break 57, 30s, 5740, I will take that trade, and I will be looking for some further downside. For right now, I'm pretty much just flat. Technically took a short recently on, not recently, but before I went to sleep on these June futures. But overall, I'm not, that to me is just kind of hold the position in place before I can, wake up, get some nice sleep, wake up, and then make an actual legitimate decision. So they're just kind of a placeholder right now. But overall, I do think that this is actually more likely to kind of at the very least work its way back up, maybe 5850 to 5900-ish area. Well, 5850 is not like saying too much now because we're so fucking close. But when I started this video, it was around 5800. So, a little bit better there. But lower time frames do want to rally back up. We do see hourly Stokes pointed back up, and these have been really good at actually getting the price action. Looking like we're going to regain the 21 as well. But like I said, the biggest news that's going to be coming down tonight is whether we take out the 200 simple on the 2-day or not. If we do take it out, I'm looking for continuation sooner rather than later into the 62 to 6400-ish region. If we fail to take it out, then this is going to start to then we're gonna have to have a discussion of, is this a local top or not? If this is a local top, we could be in for a very nasty retracement. And it will unlikely stop at 53.50. It will likely go down into the 4,000s, maybe somewhere around 45 to 47-ish area, I'd say, on the first pass, somewhere around the weekly 21, which is 47.50, actually, almost 4,800. So it is rising quite rapidly. But my point is that if we were to put on a local high here, then yes, that's when I start to look for a little bit more of, of a deeper retracement. This is what I mean by like, $500 to $1,000 move. But again, Bitcoin has a lot of work to do before that becomes a reality. We would need to reject the 2-day 2 to 200 simple moving average right here, and then confirm this as a local high by taking out the low of this 2-day dildo at 56.50, assuming that does not happen before end of day to begin with. So again, if that were to happen, then yes, I would be looking for a much deeper retracement. Obviously, first target would be somewhere right around 53.50 to 5,400. Then I think we'd have a bounce, and then probably come back further down, maybe bounce again at like 5,000 even, and then 40, and then 48. I'd be looking for like a legitimate potential reversal. So again, that's what I did want to get out, just because the stakes are quite high right now, as Bitcoin is at a major deciding factor. Do we want to have major continuation, or are we going to be initiating the pullback? I'm sure a lot of people reading the news right now are probably going to say, it's a more bearish scenario, but I'd really caution against that. Chart is still showing, fine signals as long as we hold those areas. The second that those areas get lost, though, that's when we got some new to consider. But for right now, okay, let's go check out GBTC. GBTC actually closed in the day well above the 377 exponential moving average. So we have both opened and closed a daily dildo above this critical moving average. Not only that, but we do see daily Stokes having plenty of room to move to the upside. So GBTC making new highs. Now, is this one following or leading? I think it's certainly not leading, but I don't even know if it's following anymore. I think it might be doing its own thing. But again, just this one would look more bullish, to be fair. Just want to get that out there. Just kind of a subsidiary of Bitcoin, but now in like the order of importance, it goes CMEs, spot charts as like 1A, 1B, and then there's like not a number 2, 3, or 4, but like a number 5 after that, would be GBTC. So yeah, let's go check out the other top shitcoins as well. What are they doing? Do they have any insightful news going on with them? Perhaps let's check out Mr. Buterol. He did lead the charge the other day. Okay, so here's the first big thing that I've seen that's a little bit more on the damning side, and Mr. Buterol failing to hold the 200 exponential moving average yesterday. Now we have caught wind of the 21 so far, and it's better than nothing. We do see daily Stokes still up. We do see daily RSI still trudging its way forwards, but I really wanted to see the daily confirm above the 200 exponential moving average last night, which is just 167.5. That did not happen, so this makes this one a lot more difficult. Two-day looks okay. 2-day looks okay, but going to be closing tonight. Needs to close above like 172 for me to be more optimistic on it. 3-day not closing tonight, closing in a few days or in a couple days. Yeah, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Looking a little bit less dapper, looking a little bit more lackluster actually. So, not the biggest fan of that one. Lower time frames looks very similar to Bitcoin, catching wind of this area right here, defending. I do think that lower time frames do pop back up to 172, and then we'll figure out if this rally is real or not. We need to hold and maintain 172, assuming that it actually gets there. But I do think that it gets there, and then we'll and then we'll kind of decide from there. Again, it's going to depend on where the daily dollar closes. Let's go check out Mrs. Litecoin. What's she doing? Mrs. Litecoin. Definitely the weakest of the big three. Weekly, still holding the 10 simple, so that's okay. Same thing for Mr. Buterol. The weekly looks fine to me. If I look at the one on Finex, the weekly looks okay to me. It's not, not a huge concern. Daily's still a rejection on Finex. So, anyways, going back to Mrs. Litecoin, this one looking weaker. I would say certainly looking weaker. 4 hours really struggling to hold the 200 exponential moving average. I think that this one's just going to go with the market. I do not think that it's leading this charge, and so it's not really too worthwhile to be looking at right now. If I had to guess, I'd say that we probably do try a little bit higher, maybe like $74.50, but going to depend on what Bitcoin and Mr. Buterol do, which both of them do look like they want to try a little bit higher, and then we'll kind of figure it out from there. Anyways, let's go check out the other top shitcoins. We got Cardano over here. Cardano did it hit the 1060 target? 1070, pretty fucking close, man. Pretty fucking close. I think that's close enough for me. I think I had my target at 1060 right here, and we got to 1070. So that's close enough for me. I do think that it's likely that it does try to bounce off this area, but again, I want to remind myself that higher time frames are very, very bearish on this one. Weekly is disgusting. It's very awful. We're seeing this a lot with a lot of shitcoins versus Bitcoin, to be fair, and I'm sure versus the dollar it looks a little bit better, but versus Bitcoin, I do want to show that this market's getting soaked up right now, and we do see this. We see this on a lot of shitcoins, right, where they pump up. And sorry if I'm using shitcoin and that offends you. I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about it's just an endearing term to insert random altcoin here, which is going to take over Bitcoin, right? Because that's who the hackers were stealing from. They were stealing all these altcoins, right? Wait, what? Only Bitcoin? They only stole Bitcoin? The fuck, man? I thought that was ancient technology, right? Again, just having a joke. But my point is that we've seen this on a lot of shitcoins where they pump all the way up and then they dump all the way back down. There's nothing bullish about this. In fact, it's just another lower high in this grand scheme of lower highs and lower lows, aka a downtrend. So while I do think that we're getting this initial bounce off this area, overall, this is a garbage chart, but I would be expecting bounces anywhere from here, or sorry, not anywhere from here, but if we were to come back down even in the 1060th range, it's all the same, right? But I do think that we do try to bounce this area, to be fair. Yeah, 2 days getting really beat up too. What about the 3 day? Jesus Christ, man, there's just no rest for something like this. But ultimately, very, very bad chart. Okay, BNB, hey, getting down to our $19.50 fucking target finally. Jesus Christ, man, this one took a long time, but hey, it does happen. Sometimes technical analysis, it actually works. And here's the thing, man, is that we've been looking at this for a long time, and it wasn't until and because it was on a daily, it took a long time for it to really extrapolate. But now we finally got that move down to $19.50, getting bought back up here. I do think that this one does try higher, back around 22.25, something like that. And then we'll kind of figure it out once again. But weeklies come back down, tested the support, and I do think that on the first pass it's going to be bought up, and then we'll kind of we'll figure it out. But I'd say first target maybe again like 22.25, somewhere around there. Let's look at the 4 hour. Yeah, 4 hours going to be somewhere around $22. So in that range, and then we'll kind of reassess. Could be that we're just kind of forming a little bit of a bull flag. Actually, volume signature on this would be wrong, to be fair. Would actually be wrong, but most of this volume right here is buying, actually. So I'd still give it the benefit of the doubt and say that this is a falling channel, which typically does have more bullish implications. But what I really want to see is this 4 hour total close above $21. If it can do that, then yes, I see continuation back up to about 22, maybe 22.25. And then we'll kind of figure it out, as the market trudges along forwards. Zcash coming down. Not good, man. Not good. Giving up this support right over here, this horizontal. I do think that lower time frames probably do try to retest it at $61, but overall not looking strong. Daily Stokes crossing to the downside. Weekly looking bad overall. Have we taken out last week's low? We have not. Actually. We've not. But not looking too healthy. If this thing wanted to come down, it's going to come down to $54.50. Bcash, again, weekly doesn't look too bad, actually. In daily's catching one of the 21 right here. I give it the benefit of the doubt, actually. This one seems to be a lot more in confluence with Mr. Buteral and Bitcoin. 4 hour, played out some bearish divergence here, but do we pop back up and test 293? I think that's quite likely, testing like 290 to 293-ish area. Tron Cash, what's Tron Cash doing? Moving up, actually looking okay here. Looking to me like it wants to take another leg up, to be fair. We got daily. Daily, I think, did we hit our 27 cent target? Or sorry, 2.7 cent target? Nope, not yet, but I do think that it's on the way somewhere right around here, and I would still think that we do have a little bit more to go on this. Looks to me like it wants to take out the 200 exponential and probably and try higher. I'd still stick with that 2.7 target. But again, remember, when we're talking about dailies, these things take a while, as we just saw with BNB. We were talking about that for about a week prior. Finally happens, last night. So again, when we're talking about a daily, have to subscribe to a daily time frame. It doesn't, it's going to happen at a snail's pace comparatively speaking. Looking at Mr. Neo, what's Neo doing? Rejecting off. Looks to me like it wants to go lower, down to still have a target about 850, 840, something like that. Look okay. Weekly is still down. Daily, Trying to bounce off this area, but I do think that it tries a little bit lower. Let's see. 4 hour wants to pop back up and test 950. So very low time frames bullish, higher time frames maybe a little bit more bearish. Again, going to go with the rest of the market. So, it doesn't even really matter what I say about something like that. EOS cash, catching itself once again. I do think that this one does try higher around like 517.5 lower time frames, higher time frames. Higher time frames are tricky here. I can easily go both ways. I would say I probably lean towards the upside, but I would really I'd really back off on making my own calls on this one. Not that I traded something like this to begin with, but we do have a golden cross and we are struggling to hold the 21, but still technically above. So I would give it the benefit of the doubt, but again, it's going to depend on what the rest of the market does. So I'd kind of just, back off and really even say anything on that to begin with. Ripple Me Nipples Cash looks bearish. Once again, you're looking bearish, man. Jesus Christ. Now, and I actually was giving it the benefit of the doubt the other day, saying that I would be looking for a move to test back around 31.5 cents, but not with yesterday's close. Clear rejection of all major moving averages and down, and that's where I think that we're going to be heading. But once again, probably retesting the 28.5 cent floor. 28.5 cent, very, very important, just because 28.5 cent is this massive floor that we put in for the past well over a year. If we break that, we're coming down to low 20 cents, like 24, 25 cent would be first target, but likely lower over time, maybe like 20 cents, high teens. Right here, it does look bearish, more bearish than most, but again, very, very rarely do things move on their own. Let's look at the 4 hour. 4 hour kind of wants to pop back up and test like 30.5 cent, something like that. Monero Cash, what's Monero doing? Gave up the 69. Did it? Did we get up to did we get up to my next target? Oh my God, we got so damn close. We got up to $75. My target was $77. Okay. All right. That's close enough. 75 and a quarter versus 77. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Or sorry, really my target was 76.81. Okay. Fair enough. But again, a rejection of the 200 exponential, man. I don't like what I'm seeing here. I feel like this one looks like it wants to come back down. So we're seeing a lot of the altcoins, a lot of the shitcoins actually, looking more like a rejection, whereas Bitcoin and BUTR look like, you can make an argument for it, but do I want to make an argument for it? Typically, this market moves together, especially when we're looking at dollar pairings. And this one to me looks like probably wants to come back down. Weekly looks okay though. Weekly support's all the way down at about $65. So I wouldn't be getting too shaky on this one until we actually break $65. But lower time frames probably pop back up to $70.5, 70, 69 maybe, and then we'll figure it out from there. So again, lower time frames slightly bullish, higher time frames a little bit more on the bearish side, I'd say. Okay, Stellar, what's Stellar doing? Coming back down to its lows. Jesus Christ, man, this one just can't catch a bid. Again, looks very similar to Ripple, actually a little bit worse than Ripple. Hanging right back down on its lows once again. I really dislike being short in an area like this, though. It's just one of my rules that, it's a 200 simple right here. I don't want to be short until we actually break that area. If you break that area, then yeah, probably does head back down to the prior lows at like 8 cents or so, and maybe even lower. But right now, it's it looks bearish to be fair. I'm being way too lenient on this. If this was anything else, I'd be calling it a piece of shit. And this is a piece of shit chart right here. But I do have a difficult. I wouldn't be opening shorts here. I'd be waiting until that area actually breaks, and then probably have a nice short opportunity down to 8 cents and maybe 7 1/4 second target. But yeah, again, it's just one of those rules. Do I think that this actually breaks it? Yeah, it doesn't look strong right here. I'll put it that way. But it's not until we actually close this weekly dildo where we can actually make an assessment of it. So again, a long time to go, but been waiting the whole way through. Then what's another few days, right? This thing has been really struggling, but needs to hold this area if it wants to have any semblance of hopes of this not just being another lower high in preparation for another lower low. Okay, let's go check out SPY. Let's go check out traditional markets. Yes, finally the target being hit. Holy motherfucker. Jesus Christ, man. And again, looking at the higher time frames, things happen slowly, but they do happen. So again, I just want to take a second to kind of focus on this one, just because for like the last week I was looking for a retest of about the 286-ish area. We're finally getting it today, right? We're finally getting it today, and that's the thing is that it probably when we're talking about a weekly, we have to be on a weekly schedule, and so it just takes more time. I do think that we bounce a little bit more off this area most likely. Probably do pop back up and test like 289.5, and then we'll kind of figure it out from there. Maybe if things get a little bit crazier, like 191.5. This is going to be the test to see how bullish this thing actually is. But I do consider this a gap fill down around here, and I do consider this a pretty damn good buyback. So overall, I want to see where we open up today. If we open up above 290, that would be majorly bullish, and we'd probably move back up and test like 293. But by the same token, if we open up like unched or even down, this is going to look a lot more like continuation. I'd actually look for even another bounce around 285.5 on the next pass, but after that, no, we're likely going to come down and base around the low 280s if that were to happen. So again, today's going to be absolutely critical. This rollover effect right over here actually having significant volume on it as well. I mean, look at the selling, very, very intense selling coming into yesterday. So again, really going to depend on how we actually open up today, but I would say that target met, target bouncing. I do think that lower time frames want to bounce higher, as we spoke about before. But hey, if it does open up down again today, that's going to be interpreted as mega bear. Not mega bear, but we're going to have a further retracement down into this region, like 281, 280 even. So again, keep your eyes on that. Let's go check out one Forexes. What do we got? Let's do US dollar versus yen. Dollar versus yen, bearish. Jesus Christ, man. Dollar, what the fuck you doing? I think the yen's just super strong, man. That thing has just been beasting all pairs recently. Oh, we put in a nice formation like this, right? And then break to the downside. There is a measure move to be made on this as well. Let's see, a nice little rising wedge breakdown. Basically just redistribution is what this is. Coming down to about 108.5, I'd say. Somewhere down around here. Somewhere down around there. We do have support in our current area, so we probably do bounce lower time frames here. Let's see. Let's go look at the 4 hour. Yeah, we probably do bounce the 4 hour here. Maybe pop back up and test like 110 spot 3. But ultimately, I do think that higher time frames are bearish here. Weekly also. Weekly coming down to the 200 exponential moving average. But Jesus Christ, man, this looks weak. We do see weekly Stokes crossing the downside. I do think that this one breaks. I think that it breaks. Rejection of the 200 simple down to the 200 exponential. Some weekly Stokes crossing the downside. Weekly RSI losing the exponential. Yep. Likely does break this, and higher time frames are going to be actually bearish for a move further down, somewhere down around here, maybe even as much as 107 spot 7. Longer term time frame. Remember, this is a weekly. It's going to happen. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a really fucking long time. But lower time frames, spilling over right here. Anyways, back on the good old Krown. Let's wrap this bitch up and send her home. But overall, I really want to be on record as stating this. As long as Bitcoin holds 5730 support on lower time frames, I'm actually bullish. I'm actually bullish for a move back up. Lower time frames do look like they want to move back up to what was it? Right around here, maybe like 58.50, or sorry. No, not 58.50. Well, yes, 58.50, but high. I'm looking higher than that. 58.90, 5,900-ish area, somewhere back in that region, and then we'll kind of figure it out. But really, the big news today is going to be where the 2-day dildo closes. Does the 2-day dildo close above or below the 200 simple? If we close above, I'm looking for continuation into the 6,000s. If we close below, I'm looking for. I'm not necessarily looking for a pullback, but I'm going to open up the discussion with myself, with like my fucking dual personalities, on is this a local high or not? If this is a local high, we will have a pretty sizable retracement, I'd imagine, at the very least down to 5,400, 5,350, and then potential to go lower. So yeah, the stakes are quite high right now, and we will get clarity on that later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So keep your eyes open for that. Lower time frames, though, I think are quite clear as well. 5730, the area of operation, in my opinion. And if that area breaks, then I'd be looking for a move back down to what is it? Probably like 5550-ish area. Something like that. Or where's the daily 10? Yeah, daily 10 is going to be 55.50 actually. Yeah, perfect. Okay, great. So yeah, we do have good confluences there, but again, 57.30 on the higher time, or sorry, on the 4 hour is where it'd be managing that sort of trade. Whereas on the daily, it is actually it's actually a little bit lower at 56.50. But again, I'm really concerned with where the 2-day dildo closes. For now, I actually think that this is, I'll still be running with like a generally bullish outlook until those triggers are met. And if those triggers are met, then we spoke about the lower targets, but higher targets from a higher time frame perspective, back up to like 59.50, and then if we close the 2-day dildo above there, it's going to be beyond 262 to 64. Anyways, that's it for this morning. I'll be back on live later with some more live stream action. I should remind myself to talk about this tomorrow. I won't be doing a live stream because I'll be moving, but just wanted to get out the message a little bit earlier because sometimes people send me a lot of messages, and I just want people to know, like, I'm not ignoring anyone. It's just I'm like dealing with life shit. So yeah, with that said, I want to wish you a very happy hump day. Yes, it is Wednesday, right? It's Wednesday or Tuesday. It's one of them days. Anyways, happy hump day if it is hump day. Happy 2 Kilo Tuesday if it's Tuesday as well. And take care. See you soon.